Hey guys, guess what day it is? It's Friday. Doesn't mean a whole lot since most of us aren't at work anyway. We're all sitting around waiting to go back to work. But hey, either way, it's Friday, and that means it's another installment of Vinyl Grooves. Stick around. Hey guys, welcome back. I've noticed a lot of people online are doing a vinyl tag, quarantine vinyl tag for 2020, which is what I'm going to do too. I thought it was a pretty cool idea, and I've seen a couple of people do it, and I thought, why not? So what I've done is there's 20 questions. Of course, I had to write them all down, so I'm not going to remember all 20. So I'm writing the questions down. So if I look down and I'm reading, that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to stick with the questions and get the right answers. So here we go. This is a Vinyl Tag 2020 Quarantine Edition. Okay? So the first question is your favorite album or record from your home state or city. Well, I live in Mississippi, and there are a lot of artists from Mississippi. The closest to my hometown would be from Bay St. Louis, and if you go further than that, it's Pascagoula, all the way down close to the Alabama state line. Which brings up this artist, and the artist would be Jimmy Buffett. Great album right here, Volcano, a lot of great hits. But Jimmy Buffett, he really does it. You know, if you're into party music and you're in a pirate's life after 50, this is it. Join the Parrot Head Club. Jimmy Buffett. Okay. The second question is an album you highly recommend. Okay, well, let's see. This is a guy I fell in love with, and I mean musically fell in love with. Great artist. Very folksy, but then again has a nice kick to it. And it would be Nathaniel Rateliff in the Night Sweats. If you haven't heard this album, please go get it. It has a song on here, SOBs, which stands for Son of a You-Know-What. Great song. It'll put you in the mood. I've danced many times with my wife around the house listening to this song and this album. I was pretty impressed when I ordered this album. All I knew was one song. And I actually ordered it from his online company, Stax. It actually is a record label, Stax Records. And they sent it to me, but inside is a personalized note from Nathaniel Rateliff saying, thanks for supporting my music. Wasn't expecting that. I was pretty impressed by how down-to-earth he seems. So if you really want to get something to dance around with, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whatever, Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats, this album is fantastic. Okay, number 3, a tip for a beginner. Well, I've said it before and I'll say it 1,000 times. My best tip for any beginner in vinyl music would be collect what you love. Don't buy things that you haven't heard before. You're wanting to buy things as collectible rather than buy something that you love. Because in the end, like all collectibles, the market will eventually fall out on vinyl. And once again, it'll be worth next to nothing. But what you'll have are music and albums that you positively love and you listen to. That's my best tip for anybody. Don't overpay. Buy what you love and listen to everything that you have. The fourth question is our first record that really got you deeper into music. Well, that would be this. AC/DC's Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. I had a best friend named Jason, and if you're watching, Jason, I know we've listened to this many times in the room, learning guitar. This was our album that we just positively put on and listened to. Such great songs on here. Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap, obviously, but the song that really got us and made us laugh all the time was Big Balls. If you haven't heard it, grab it, listen to it, think you'll like it. If you like a little bit of heavy rock. All right, an obscure record people may not know about. Well, this comes from my brother-in-law. My brother-in-law decided I needed to know about this band, and I was completely unaware of it. He sent me a music video. I'll try to link it in the description in the bottom. Pretty good. They're kind of like a folk music band. They like to, I don't know, it's kind of backwoods folky music, but they're actually from Canada. And that would be the Dead South. This is Good Company, Dead South. It's a really good album. It's not my typical what I would listen to on a daily basis, but for a change of pace, this is a pretty nifty little album. So they have a couple of albums, and if you haven't heard this one, like I said, I'm going to put their music video and the link in the description. You can click on it and, you know, check it out, and that way you can decide if you like them. But like I said, it's kind of an obscure record that a lot of people may not know that I like. All right, number 6. Let's see, a group who you collect all their albums or try to. Ooh, I'm just going to say, I'm not going to pull them all out. And a lot of people will be surprised. Chicago. I have over 17 Chicago albums going all the way back to Chicago Transit Authority. I have box sets. I have all kinds of Chicago stuff. Their music is just really good. A lot of people think of Chicago, they think of the 80s Chicago, and Chicago is so much more than that. It's fantastic musicians playing brass instruments, you know, trumpet, and you've got like, it's almost like a big band feel. So I really enjoy it. My wife enjoys it. We sit around, we listen to Chicago. It's a nice change of pace when I'm not listening to hard rock or heavy metal or something like that. But I do have a lot of Chicago albums, and I try to buy all the Chicago albums I can to complete my collection. There's some other artists. I have almost every album of Soundgarden, Ozzy, and so on. So, but Chicago, typically, if I'm going digging through crates and I find a Chicago album that I've never seen or haven't heard before, I'll buy it. All right. Let's see, a band whose second album is better than their first. Now, that was a tough one. I had to think about that one for a long time. Because then you have to look at what was their first album, what was their second album, and dig a little bit. And one thing that stood out as I started looking at things a little bit more is this band from, I believe, 95. And it's this, Oasis. What's the Story, Morning Glory? This is a really good album. It's better than their first album to me. A lot of people may disagree, but this is the album people think of when they think of Oasis. You know, Champagne Supernova, Don't Look Back in Anger. A lot of really, really good songs on here. So, to me, this album is a far cry better than the first album. And, you know, I enjoy listening to it. So, better than the first album. Second album, Oasis, What's the Story, Morning Glory. Show and Tell a Whack-A-Mole. Random selection. Now, obviously, to prepare for this, you just pull stuff. I mean, I could reach back here and just pull an album, but it makes it real difficult. It's hard for the camera. So, I pulled an album earlier, just randomly pulled an album, and this is what I got. 9.5 Weeks soundtrack. Yeah, don't judge me. But let me tell you this. It has fantastic music on it. You got Joe Cocker on here. And that was one of the main reasons I bought this album, because I loved the Joe Cocker song. But I loved all the artists on this album. You have Brian Ferry. You have John Taylor. You even have Devo and Corey Hart. They're all on this album. So this is a really good album. Good compilation of music. And it's enjoyable. Very enjoyable. Which I was surprised to pull that one off the shelf. What album have you listened to the most in your life? Well, a lot of people are going to say probably Beatles or Beach Boys, or no. And a lot of people are going to, you know, turn me off right now because there's such angst between the two camps on this next band. And it's 5150. Yes, I know, it's Van Hagar. I love David Lee Roth. He's a fantastic showman, and he is Van Halen. But let me tell you, Sammy Hagar is Van Halen too. Sammy Hagar has a voice, and it still sounds every bit as good today at 70, I think he's 72, as it did when he did this in 1986. So this is 5150. I had this on cassette back in the day in 86, and I probably wore out 2 cassettes that I know of before I got it on vinyl. So, you know, that's probably the album I've listened to the most in my life is 5150. Show an album with a crazy story. Okay. Crazy story time. This album right here. It's not a crazy story about Prince or Purple Rain. It's a crazy story about me owning this. Back when I was younger and I was still at my parents' and I was a kid and listening to Purple Rain, and I had it on CD, and a song called Darling Nikki came on. And if you don't know what Darling Nikki is, you know, if you're sensitive ears, don't listen to it. For the rest of the people out there, go ahead and listen to it. My dad took the CD out of the CD player, rolled the window down, and threw it out the window. I hated to see this album go out the window, but I understood, and especially now being a dad of my own, I look and go, well, I can understand why he threw it out the window. But I would have preferred it not to happen. That's just my crazy story regarding Purple Rain. All right. Your collecting pet peeve. Okay, my biggest pet peeve in collecting is simple. When you have an album, and I'll use Purple Rain as an example. When you have this album and you see this is, you can tell my wife is listening to, well, no, it's got a split. Okay, this is the paper sleeve that the record actually comes in. See, my pet peeve is I have to have the record go in this way, not this way, and then it has to go back in the album cover so that the album points up. That's my pet peeve, because I've picked up many an album off my shelf that my beautiful wife has put back, and sometimes they just slide right out onto the floor, and it makes me scream every time, no! But that's my biggest pet peeve in collecting. An album or genre people would be surprised to know that you like. Okay. I don't know that you'll be surprised I like anything, because I cover a lot of stuff in the last few videos, and those who know me know I like a lot of different things and I have a lot of different music. So I went with this. Al Hirt. This is Honey in the Horn. It's just a great trumpet album. And sometimes you just need a great trumpet album. And I have probably about 15 Al Hirt albums. It's great trumpet albums. So, you know, Al Hirt. Sometimes you just have to have a good trumpet album. So go get you one. A record from the year you were born. Oh, come on. There you go, guys. Who knows what this is from the cover? This is the Allman Brothers. Eat a Peach. Isn't that beautiful? Look at that. That's just great album. Allman Brothers, Eat a Peach. Actually, somebody gave me this album, and I was so happy they gave me, because it was on my wish list, and here it is. If you haven't heard the Allman Brothers, go listen to some Allman Brothers. If you haven't heard Eat a Peach, this is it. Go get it. Let's see. Flip the page, because we're on number 14. Show a 10-inch record and or share your opinion on a 10-inch record. Well, I will show you a 10-inch record. This is a fantastic one. Honestly, I don't buy 45s. I don't buy 10-inch records usually. It's not that I have an aversion to them or anything like that. I don't typically buy them, because when I'm putting them on a shelf, it makes it difficult, like you can see with this one in just a second. This is the Jimmy Page, Black Crowes, Jones Beach concert that they did. And this was released at Record Store Day. Really, really cool 10-inch. Not only is it just cool on the outside, when you pull the actual vinyl out, take a look at that. It's white and smoke marble. I mean, it's really pretty. But this is a really fantastic album. It's only a few songs on it. Led Zeppelin songs, obviously, as you can tell right here. And it's Jimmy Page and the Black Crowes. I mean, what more do you need to know? Jimmy Page and the Black Crowes doing Zeppelin songs? You can't go wrong there. All right, number 15. Share an interesting fact about an album or song. Okay. How about this one? Ringo. This is his third solo album. My friend Mike, who lives in Washington State, he came down to visit me, and he's like, "Hey, man, do you have this?" I was like, "No, I don't." He's like, "Check it out. You'll love it." And I did. I checked it out, and I loved it. Of course, I love the Beatles, but the interesting fact about this is every Beatle appears on this album. This is the only solo album that any of them did. John, Paul, Ringo, George. This is the only solo album that all four Beatles appear on. Now, they don't sing together. They do individual songs with Ringo, but they are all on this album. So that's my interesting fact or story about an album. All right. Number 16, show an album with an animal on the cover. Okay. How about this? Fleetwood Mac, Mystery to Me. You don't get more than that. You know, a big gorilla eating a cake. Can't go wrong there, right? It's pretty cool. Who doesn't like cake anyway? All right. Next. 17. Show an album with crazy artwork. Okay. How about crazy beautiful artwork? Because that's what I got. This is a fairly new album. This is Traces. Steve Perry. I got the autographed one. This is and I'm not trying to show off, but I have the autograph with the fire marble, which was the first printing of this album. I got lucky. Got really lucky. But I mean, it's just crazy gorgeous album cover. I mean, if you take a look at that, I mean, how do you go wrong? I mean, it's just, I would definitely buy a mural, a poster, put that on the wall. I think that's a pretty incredible piece of work there that they put out with this new Steve Perry album. It's Steve Perry Traces. It's a good album. It's a solid album. It's not, I'm not going to say it's Journey, but it's Steve Perry, and it's a solid album. For as many years as he's been out of music, it's like a good welcome back. All right, let's see. Number 18, show a really good album you can find for cheap. Okay, that was a little difficult because I buy a lot of albums, and a lot of times I just don't pay attention. I just know I buy them in the cheap bins. I just don't know how much I pay for them. But I do have several copies of this because the first copy I had some scratches on it, and some of the songs I couldn't really listen to. So I went and bought another copy, and that copy had a warp in it. And this was something I got for my wife originally, and then I actually fell in love with it. But it's Carole King Tapestry. You can pretty much get this for under $5. If you go to some shops, dig through some bins, you're going to come across Carole King Tapestry, and you'll probably find it $5 or less, really. That's why I said I have like 3 copies of it. Fantastic album. I mean, it's like every song on this album is a hit, and it makes you sing. So, how do you go wrong with an album that makes you sing? So, check it out. All right. Number 19. Show an album with an acquired taste. Okay. This is an album with acquired taste that I absolutely positively love. I grew up listening to this album. I watched the movie. And I've always been a big fan. And that's the Camelot original motion picture soundtrack. Richard Harrison's singing on this. It is an acquired taste. If you're not used to listening to, musicals of the 1960s, then you're probably not going to like this. I love it because it's Camelot, and I've always been a big fan of King Arthur, and I've been a big fan of Richard Harrison as well as far as an actor, and I think he sings fantastic on this album. So this is probably acquired taste nowadays. For those people that are my age or older, you probably love this. If you don't love it, I'm sorry. You know, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but it is an acquired taste, but it's good. It's good. Okay, number 20. This is it. This is the last one. Show your most recent find. Actually, my most recent find was a gift from my daughter. So, you know, actually it's the most recent find for her, but it's for me as well. And it's Band of the Hand soundtrack. I love this movie from the 80s. Michael Mann, who did Miami Vice. But Band of the Hand it's a great little movie that came out in, I believe, 86. But it's got Bob Dylan on it, you know? How do you go wrong with Bob Dylan? And one of the groups on here that you don't really think about from the 80s is the Reds. And the Reds had some really good haunting songs. They were a pretty good band. If you don't know the Reds, take a look at them. There's some stuff on Spotify. You can pull them up and look at. But, I mean, you got Bob Dylan on this album. So, last find. So, all right. So that's my vinyl tag for 2020 quarantine edition. And if you're interested in doing it, hey, shoot a video, post it to my Facebook page, and let me know you did it. I'd like to see it. I'm curious to see what you all like as well. I'm more than happy to watch anybody's video that they post. So, because I like to get ideas and like to find out what you guys like to watch and listen to, and I hope you enjoy. All right, guys. Look, if you like the video, if you like this video, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to give me a thumbs up. Click the little subscribe button. I've got a lot of people that like my videos, but they don't subscribe. Please, I need subscribers. Plus, it'll tell you when my new videos come out as well. Especially if you turn notifications on. There's a little bell if you turn that on. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to let y'all go. Thank you for sticking with me in Vinyl Grooves. There'll be another video coming out. I'll shoot for Wednesday, but you can always expect Fridays that I'll have a Vinyl Grooves video posted. All right. I will see you all later, and make sure you listen to music so I can catch you listening to music.